G'day guys, it's Tim here. I wanted to get on the Facebook Live. There's been some really hotly debated topics in the news this week, particularly when it comes to things like property. We've seen a lot of debate around whether people should be able to access their superannuation and use that as a deposit to buy their first home. We've also seen on the Q&A program, we saw some pretty hot debate when it comes to Labor's proposals in terms of changing negative gearing. And then we also had Derryn Hinch, Senator Derryn Hinch, he likes to be in the news as well, saying, telling young Australians that home ownership is not a right. So I wanted to get on the Facebook and discuss those. I've gotten a number of different emails and messages through to our Facebook page. People wanted to get my thoughts on this, and of course I wanted to jump on just quickly before the Easter break and let you know what I think about these things. So firstly, I did plan on doing a Facebook Live earlier in the week, but it's been a flat out week. We've done 2 events this week. We've done our a workshop in Melbourne, which was fantastic. We did a workshop in Perth, and of course short week with Easter, and I hope everyone's got a really great Easter planned. 4 days off, whether you're going away or whether you're hanging out with family. I hope you just get some time off, get a chance to relax and recuperate. But let's really get stuck into it. Now, like we always do on Facebook Lives, if you like what I say, click the like button. It's always great to see people interacting with the posts as we go through. If you love what I say, click the love button. If you don't like what I say, click the angry button. And then what we'll also do as well is if you have any questions as we go through stuff, sometimes it's a little bit hard for me to see them come up on the screen, but if there's questions that you have as we go through things, then I'll try and get those answers as well. But let's touch on the first one. So, one of the backbenchers has put a policy forward that young Australians should be able to access their superannuation to be able to buy a home. And there's been a lot of debate and a lot of, pretty passionate argument from both sides saying about whether people should or people shouldn't. To be perfectly honest, I don't have a huge opinion on it. Some people are saying that, allowing people to, hey Mel, how you going? I haven't seen you guys in a while actually. A lot of people are saying that, giving people access to superannuation, that's their retirement fund. They shouldn't be touching that stuff. It should just be left sitting there. Other people are saying, but being able to put that into a house, the ability to obviously have a leveraged investment, get into home ownership earlier, that's going to leave people in a better financial position. Ben, how you going, mate? Welcome to the Facebook Live. And then you've also got people saying, no, it shouldn't happen because it's just going to lead to more competition and demand in the housing market, push house prices a lot higher. I think there's valid arguments on both. I know some industry people have been criticised for putting their weight behind allowing people to access their superannuation via home. I guess the thing that worries me is this, I think the simple fact of the matter is a lot of people need to have that forced retirement planning. I mean, look, we're living longer, the pension is disappearing because of the baby boomers and the growing population. We need to have some kind of fund for us to be able to sit there. Hey Josh, welcome to the Facebook Live. People need to be able to have a fund to live off because there's not going to be something like the pension, right? So what are they going to have? Now, many people can be trusted to use maybe their superannuation and invest it in a better way, produce better returns than what most superannuation funds produce. So there's a great argument for that as well. I think a better way of tackling this would be allowing people to use their superannuation, but in a self-managed superannuation fund and being able to buy a house. Because the thing that concerns me is if you're going to use your super as a deposit, how long do you live in that house? What happens when you sell that house, change that house? Does that money just disappear? There's a lot of room for stuff to happen with that money, and obviously it's very important money. I think it was in a self-managed super fund, and they made an alteration to the laws, because normally what happens in self-managed super funds is the person that has or is in control of the self-managed super fund is not allowed to get any benefit. I.e., if you buy a property in a self-managed super fund, you're not allowed to live in it. I think they should change that rule. Meaning that, yes, your superannuation fund would be buying that property, it would be providing the deposit. However, you could get a benefit out of it, i.e. by living in it. And of course, if you did sell the property, the proceeds of that sale would have to go back into the superannuation. So, obviously there's a bit more detail to it than that, but I think that is a far better idea. I think it satisfies both sides' concerns and of course the validity of their arguments as well. So that's what I certainly think the Australian government should be looking at that. Also, we saw on Q&A, we saw some quite hot debate. Penny Wong was on there jumping up and down and talking about negative gearing. And it was one of the things that I did think it was great. The Liberal representative, I can't remember exactly who it was, he did address something, and it was the first time that I've seen Liberal address it. Now, keep in mind, I don't have any political affiliations. I think they're all muppets, to be perfectly honest, and nothing really ever changes. But what he said was this, and I think this is a big fact that people miss when it comes to negative gearing in property investors. Anyone in Australia, if you pay tax on the profit that you make, i.e., if if you're an employee and you have a job, right, you earn an income from that job, you're going to pay tax on that income. But if you then spend some of that income on utilising your car to generate that income, you can claim a tax break on the expenses. Same with a business. I mean, Infinite Wealth, we're a business here, right? We don't pay tax on our revenue, we pay tax on our profit. So there's money coming in, of course, there's money going out from expenses, and we've got to pay tax on the profit. This same thing should apply to property investors. If they have money coming in, i.e. rent, and money going out for expenses, they should not have to pay tax purely on the revenue that they're getting from that investment property. Now, of course, the thing that Labor keep on saying is they keep on trying to make out that negative gearing is this tax break that the wealthy get, these property moguls, I believe is the word that she used, once again, which is just absolute bullshit. 73% of Australians only ever own one. You can hardly call them a property mogul. So say 3 out of 4 people that, and of course, if in the case of them negative gearing, would be accessing that. The other thing that we found is that 2/3 of Australians that do negative gear are on taxable incomes of under $80,000 a year. So this is negative gearing would actually hurt everyday hardworking Australians the most, and that is why primarily I'm against those changes, as well as the simple fact that it just flies in the face of all logic when we consider our tax system. Finally, Darren Hinchey caused a bit of a stir by telling young Australians that home ownership was not a right. It's probably a pretty unpopular thing to say. I'm sure there was a fair bit of backlash, but I'm probably not going to be that popular here either. I 100% agree with him. Like, there is no right. You don't have a right home ownership. If you want to own your own home, then that's something you're going to have to work towards. And it's no different. In fact, there's probably a large argument that it's a lot easier now for people than it was in the past. I mean, in the 80s, I remember that the average there, people were putting 44% of their income towards their mortgage, whereas nowadays it's only 33%. So it's a lot less of your income that's being used to buy a house. Not only, it was very common also going back 20, 30 years ago that a lot of people didn't get into home ownership until they were getting close to their 40s. Obviously, as young Australians become more savvy, they've been able to access home ownership a lot earlier. It's become more accessible, but home ownership's not a right. I mean, just like anything in this life, the world, life doesn't owe you anything. You want something, you're going to have to go out there and work hard for it and earn it. And of course, I mean, the fantastic thing that I get to do is I get to work with, hungry young Australians all the time that are out there, that are working their guts out and that are building their own wealth. And it's an absolute privilege. So, guys, that's my rant today. Like I said, I just really wanted to address those items that have been bouncing around in the media for the last few days. Finally, guys, please, Easter, it can be, glad to hear that you agree, Josh. I think a lot of people do. It might not be something that you want to go shouting around because you might, a few people might want to argue with you, but I think we all know that, right? I mean, one of the things I love about young Australians today is they are so ambitious and they know that they got to work for it, and it's great. And I think that's part of the reason why they're doing a lot better and doing well. Look, Easter, guys, normally the roads are pretty dangerous at Easter. There's a lot of people on the roads going away, whether it's fatigue, texting, drinking, all that kind of stuff. Please be safe out there, guys. We want to speak to you on the other side of Easter, but I hope you have a great time. Get some rest. Get some time with your friends and family and loved ones. Eat some good food. Maybe drink some good beer as well. I know I will be. And have a great Easter, and we'll speak to you guys again next week. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good one. Bye.